Lady!
This morning, we reach into our archival vault for an encore presentation of an Emmy Award-winning interview with the late king of comedy, Jerry Lewis.
Now, from 42nd and 2nd, this is New York's very own PIX11 News Closeup with Marvin Scott.
Good morning. Hope you're all well and abiding by the guidelines that keep you safe from this dreadful coronavirus. As a precautionary measure during this pandemic, PIX management is limiting the number of employees entering our building. Many of my colleagues are working from home. Guests are not being invited into our studio. Guests who have been the mainstay of this program for the past 28 years. So for the next few weeks, we've decided to reach into our archives for a look at some of the special broadcasts we have done. Today's encore presentation is an interview we did with the late king of comedy, Jerry Lewis, back in 2005. A program that won an Emmy Award for outstanding entertainment programming. Jerry Lewis is one of the most recognized people in the world. He's an actor, a director, a producer, a philanthropist, a survivor.
A writer, a producer.
We have so many, we can list them all. Above all, his name is synonymous with comedy. He's the king of comedy, or as Robin Williams calls him, the maestro.
Yeah, that was one of the great moments of my life.
Let me finish my intro, will you?
I'm sorry. Okay. Go ahead, Marvin.
Though Jerry Lewis turned 79 in March, he and his comedy remain ageless. But through all the years of comedy, the pratfalls, Jerry Lewis learned that laughter certainly has a painful side. He'll talk about that. Jerry, it's an honor to have you back on our program.
Thank you, Marvin. I'm wonderful. I go anywhere for you.
And the last time we saw you, you were coming out of this painful period of your life.
Oh, God.
And you have, I have to tell you, you look remarkably well. You've lost a lot of weight, as you vowed to do on our last program.
78 pounds.
78, that's quite an achievement.
Yeah, thank you.
And you got there because in all the years you made us laugh, no one realized what was going on behind the face of that clown.
Yeah. From the time I was 5 and took my first pratfall, which was 73 years ago, from 1931, when I was 5, to 1965, I had been in pain all of those years. But the kind of pain that isn't of great consequence. It was annoying pain. It was an annoying, gnawing pain that I lived with, and it wasn't all that terrible. And I wouldn't give up taking a fall for a laugh, no matter what. Every time I would do a fall, off the piano, off 2 chairs, or whatever the pratfall was, my dad would say, "You're gonna pay for that one. And one day you're gonna pay for that one. And when the rent comes due one day, you got some payments to make." Well, he was right. Now, in 1965, closing night at the Sands, I did a fall off the piano, as I did at the end of every performance, and I did a split fall. So it's like I'm up 12 feet or something, and I took that fall as many times as I have hair on my head, no problem. But this night, somebody had moved the mic cable so that the steel connector, the mic cable, was lying right there, and I landed on my spine on the mic cable, which paralyzed me instantly. And there's an audience. I've got 900 people in that room. And I pick up the mic. I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the show's over. I'm sorry that it had to end this way. It's not too funny, but I didn't plan on this happening. I'm sorry." We brought the curtain in, and they rushed me to Los Angeles in an ambulance plane. And Dr. John Aldies went in and had to tie a fusion of some sort to keep my spine together, because I missed severing it. Just by millimeters, I missed severing it. And from that night till 2 years ago, I've been in excruciating pain. Now we're talking about for 37, 38 years.
There was a point when, didn't you contemplate suicide? The pain was so severe.
Oh, I did. Oh, yes. That was the turning point.
You actually went and got a gun, did you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I loaded it, and there's humor even in devastating things like suicide. I have the gun. I know there's no prayer for me to make it another minute on this earth because of the pain. I was going blind, losing focus, losing touch. The pain was so severe. So I take a 9mm Beretta and I take a clip and I start to load the clip. And after I put the fourth one in, I started to laugh. What do I need 4 in there for? I'm gonna shoot myself 4 times? And I got hysterical. I thought it was so, I'm loading a whole clip, which struck me so funny, but that moment that I was giggling, Danny runs into my bathroom and sees the gun.
Danny, the joy of your life, your 13-year-old daughter.
My miracle, my baby.
So she walked in at that moment.
And she saw the gun, and my heart dropped that she saw it. But I use a gun in my act. When I perform, I do a whole Western thing with the gun. So I told Danny, Daddy was practicing, and she bought it, thank God. I'm not sure that I should do this now. Now the pain subsided a little, thinking of her. And Sam, I'm not going to see them anymore? I had placed a call to Michael DeBakey before this incident to say goodbye to Michael, the dearest friend I have on the planet and the man who has saved my life before. And for 40 years, he's taken care of me, made sure that I was well. I wanted to call and say goodbye. Well, I couldn't get through. I left word in the office. So he had called back right after Danny left the bathroom. And said, Michael, I want to tell you what happened. And when I told him, he said, I understand, but if you can put your suicide on hold for just about an hour, I would appreciate that. I said, what am I waiting for? He said, will you promise you'll do that? I said, yes. In an hour, the top pain specialist in Las Vegas came to my home at Michael's request. And he asked me to get on the bed, and he put a temporary silver plate on my spine, the size of, like so. And 2 electrodes from a battery pack laying next to me were going to my back. And he gave me a temporary programmer, and he told me to press it and put it against this battery, which will charge the 2 electrodes to the spine. And as I pressed it, I was pain-free. That moment. Absolutely pain-free. Like I was just reborn.
Which has led to something you're now using from a company called...
That was the beginning of my love affair with Medtronic.
We'll tell you about Jerry's tingling sensation that has helped relieve his pain when we come back. Stay with us as 11 News Close-Up continues. Welcome back. We're with a true American icon, Jerry Lewis, talking about, we all know him for his comedic achievements, but also he's talking about the man behind the mask, the pain he's endured so many years, and in recent years you've overcome it.
Yes.
Through this Medtronic's device, which is an implant.
Correct.
Which sends a
electrical stimulator from your spine, from the battery to the spine, and it stops the pain from going to your brain. This is the programmer.
The remote for what you have implanted in your body.
I can take the programmer, raise the pain level raise the stimulating level of the pain I have on the right side or on the left side. I can raise it depending upon the pain, lower it, I turn it on, I turn it off, and it opens my garage door. Hey!
Which means we now segue. Talking about opening your garage door, reopening your career.
But you forgot about what it feels like.
It tingles.
It tingles all through your body like a little vibrator. I've had an erection for 9 months now, folks.
Lady.
Oh, yes.
We haven't seen much of you in Hollywood over the last 20 years, but now we're seeing somewhat of a renaissance.
Yeah.
You're looking at scripts, you're re-releasing some of those.
6 films. I've got 2 scripts, one I'm going to perform in, one I'm going to direct. They're on the boards now, we're prepping, plus the other 5 films that I have to executive produce. I got a lot of stuff to do.
And the Nutty Professor has made the Library of Congress.
Yes, just inducted into the Library of Congress.
That's got to make you feel good.
Oh my God. And it was also, a month ago, it was also named one of the 100 best comedies of the century, which gives me great pride.
Also, you received the Film Critics of...
Los Angeles Film Critics Association.
That's somewhat ironic. You've had nothing but disdain for critics, and you're being honored by them.
Yes. They had nothing but disdain for my work all of my career. And there I am Thursday night accepting my Career Achievement Award from them. And I think that they liked the fact that it was such a successful night, not because of what I did, but because of what I didn't do. I never challenged them. I thanked them for the honor. I was as humble as I could possibly muster myself to be. And I did some gags and fun. It was the highlight of the evening, and I left. They were like, my God. First of all, I couldn't believe 600 critics to stand up when I was introduced. I mean, I never saw a critic do anything but sit or crouch or kneel or frown. But it was a great night.
You've been hailed as one of the greatest comedians of the 20th century. Looking back on it all, what do you feel made it work for you?
I think what made it work was that I never allowed myself to get any further than 9. I've been 9 since 1933, and I've been 9 all of my life. I was 9 this morning with the room service waiter. I danced with him to the music, and he's trying to pour me coffee. That wasn't me. It was a 9-year-old in me that just had that. When I get that surge, when I went on the air last night with Letterman, that's the 9-year-old takes me there. The 9-year-old adrenaline. The 9-year-old is his innocence, his playfulness, his delight in making other people happy. That's 9 years. And I have kept him in the foreground of everything I've ever done as an adult and as a man of 79 years old. And I think that's the secret.
Forever young.
And yeah, forever young, but also remember that most people, all of the people in your audience, never think about the child within them. That child never leaves. But adults who become snobs about their age, I'm 19. And that's what happens to adults. And they forget to take the child within and keep it alive. And I've kept mine alive.
Flashback to the 40s. It was your zaniness and Dean Martin's good looks that made you an instant hit. You guys went from earning $250 a week to $5,000 a week back then.
At Low State.
A lot of money. Oh, you were so brilliant together.
Oh yes, he made me that way.
So why?
Because I loved him so much. I was out there hoping he would accept my work. I was out there hoping he would think it was funny, that he would laugh. He was my big brother, my father figure, my everything. Underrated for 10 years. They wrote Jerry this, Jerry that, Jerry this. It's all Jerry. Jerry's the brain of the act. He does the business, he does the comedy. He's wonderful. And Dean sings a few songs. Oh, and Jerry's, I don't know that I could have taken that for 10 years the way he did.
That moment that Frank Sinatra brought the two of you together at the 10 years, I still remember it on the telethon.
76.
That was an emotional moment.
It was, we hadn't talked in 20 years. 20 years. That night, we broke that. And it was incredible for both of us. And it reattached what we had before. And we stayed close until he died.
I'm not going to do it. No, I'm not going to do it. That's all this noise.
Welcome back. We're with Jerry Lewis. You earned, over a period of time, your films, grossed $800 million. And those were the days a movie ticket cost 25 cents or 50 cents.
Right.
That's incredulous.
Yeah.
How'd you do it? What was the magic, Jerry?
The magic was that I was playing someone that everybody was.
So we saw ourselves in you.
Without question. You cannot laugh at something that you don't recognize. You can only laugh at something that you're aware of, either in the subconscious or in your conscious mind. But to be what the audience feels they can identify with is what the secret is. Like all of the countries in Europe understand the kid. They understand the character because he's talking the national language, mime. That's why maybe 3 comics from America can perform live in any country in the world. No more than 3 that I know of.
Who would they be?
Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, and myself. Because of the physicality. It's a language. The physicality is a language. It isn't something you have to think about. It's a language of the optic. The optic nerve reads what you're doing and sends the message of laughter to the brain. It's very simple.
You are an inspiration to so many of them. Jim Carrey said you're his idol. But when you were performing back in the 40s, your idol was Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah.
You had gone to Switzerland to meet with him several times.
Oh, yeah. I had an audience with Chaplin 4 or 5 times. Like people go to the Pope, I went to Chaplin.
You talk about what it was that we saw a lot of ourselves in looking at you.
Sure.
But I think something really crystallizes that, Jerry. It's a plaque you have. It was given to you by former President John F. Kennedy.
Right.
Do you remember the words on that?
Sure, of course. There are 3 things that are real: God, human folly, and laughter. Since the first 2 are beyond our comprehension, we must do the best we can with the third.
And JFK and you became very good friends. You met him in Chicago.
Yeah, yeah. He never allowed me to come to the front way of the White House or the press corps. Never let the press corps know I was there. And I made 19 visits to the Oval Office in that short period of time. And someone asked Jack, what is the foreign intrigue with the way we're handling Jerry Lewis? He's the only one that goes this way, that way, up through the bowels of the White House into the Oval Office. And Jack Kennedy said to him, the work that he does for his kids cannot afford to lose 50% of his audience. And if they find we have a great friendship, it could be a lot of dumb Republicans that wouldn't be there for him on Labor Day. And that's the way we have to protect it.
Let's talk for a moment about the Muscular Dystrophy Telethon.
Yeah.
50 years you're doing this. Something, well, you want to talk when it went national, but overall, it's 50
Overall,
since you started local.
52 years.
Raised over
Almost 2 billion. Yeah, I think this coming show I'll go over the 2 billion mark.
Jerry, I ask this with respect and with sensitivity, and I know you're kind of sensitive. You've never really spoken about it, but I ask it because people know we know one another.
Right.
And they ask me the question, why have you done this all these years? Is there
I wouldn't tell anyone. If I was going to tell anyone, you could be one of them I would tell. But I've never disclosed the why. And never will. Sam doesn't know. My daughter doesn't know. The close people in my life, people who've been with me 40, 45, 50, 55 years who are still with me, have no idea.
So it's something deeply personal.
It's very deeply personal, and the important thing is that I do it, not why.
This is your life.
Yeah.
Flashback 1977.
Yeah.
Congressman Les Aspin did something that was probably the epitome for you.
Yeah. It was the #1, and nothing will ever compare to being nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize.
That was incredible.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, yes. No one in our industry ever, before or after. So I'm the only one in our racket that has been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize.
Let me talk about your father. He had tremendous influence on you, didn't he?
Oh, absolutely. He was my teacher. He's my hero. He was like every dad should be with every son. The exception here is that it had to be extensions of what he believed and his integrity and his love of self-esteem. And he wanted so much for me to understand that I needed to acquire that love. He said, the day you fall in love with you, you can do anything in the world that you want to do.
But there was more than that, Jerry.
Oh, well, of course.
You achieved success, and he'd say, you ain't got it.
You ain't got it yet.
You earned $800 million in your films. You ain't got it yet.
Right.
You had a command performance for the Queen, standing ovation. Ain't got it yet. You ain't got it yet. until about 10 years ago. This is the 10th anniversary.
Right.
Then you got it.
Yep,
As far
I
as your
opened
name.
on Broadway and I could hear him as clear as a bell. You got it now, kid.
That was so important. You achieved what he couldn't.
You bet. You bet. He told me as far back as I can remember, no matter what you do in the business and no matter what you decide to be, not until you play Broadway if you really, really put the cherry on the cake. And I've always thought about it and wanted very much to do it. I tried once and failed and thought I would never do it again, but I still needed to put the cherry on the cake. And I did. And I had the best 4 years of my life with Damn Yankees. We had such...
You were a heck of a devil.
Oh, I had such fun. My God.
Jerry, how would you finish this sentence?
Yeah.
If I had not become a performer, a comedian, I would have probably become...
A doctor. We do the same work. Doctor does it with a bandage, I do it with a giggle.
And you've been very successful at it.
And?
One heck of a surgeon.
And it's interesting because in all the lectures I've been doing for the last 40 years on laughter and healing, all of it comes out there. It all comes out in that lecture that I do about laughter and healing. And I talk to people, 900 people wanting to understand healing as opposed to laughter and healing. And I have become, in the eyes of many people, I've become this qualified encyclopedia of comedy relative to medicine.
Jerry, is there anything you haven't done that you still want to do?
No. No, I hate to say I've done it all, because I haven't done it all perfectly. So I would like to continue and re-edit my life. Go back a couple of years and fix that one element and do that better. Plan for the future to do it good so I don't have to come back and edit. And I've got tremendous dreams to take care of yet. I'm waiting for Danny to graduate college and for me to walk her down the aisle with a nice young man and wait for her baby. And then I'll go to the motion picture actor's home and go to sleep.
When you look back at it all and you reflect and people, historians look at it, how do you hope that previous generations and future generations who will see your films will remember you?
I just hope that they will know by checking and research and bringing up the work. I hope that they will know that it was all done with a lot of love in my heart.
You have a motto.
Yep.
A motto that reflects more than anything else your ongoing love affair with humanity.
Right.
I would rather if you would recite it than me reading it.
Go ahead, read it. Read it.
I shall pass through this world but once. Any good, therefore, that I can do or any kindness that I can show to any human being, let me do it now. Let me not defer nor neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again.
Right.
Jerry Lewis's philosophy, words of wisdom.
My credo.
Jerry, you've been an inspiration to so many people, and you've kept us laughing for so many years. Such a great pleasure to see you again and to see you well and to have you on 11 News Closeup.
Thank you, Marvin.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to the next time. I'll be 15 pounds lighter.
Okay, well, you said last time you'd be lighter. You are this time.
Okay.
Want to say goodbye to our viewers? Give us a little lady.
It was nice seeing all of you folks. I hope you enjoyed the show. Lady!
He'll always be the king of comedy, the late Jerry Lewis, in an interview back in 2005. For many years, I was proud to call Jerry Lewis a friend and a fellow officer at the Friars Club, where he served as the abbot. Jerry passed away in 2017 at the age of 91. He leaves behind a rich legacy as comedian, actor, philanthropist, father. He may be gone, but he'll continue to tickle our funny bone as future generations marvel at his comedic genius through the many films that will continue to illuminate our screens. That'll do it for this week's broadcast. If you have any comments or wish to see this program again, go on to our website at PIX11.com/newscloseup. Hope you'll join us again next week when we again reach into our archives for another memorable broadcast. I'm Marvin Scott. Thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, everyone, and stay safe.